Before 30, most people are still trying to figure out who they are. He had forced the entire world to acknowledge him. Kings feared him, and entire empires collapsed in his path. He didn't just win battles, he took risks no one else would dare. In a short time, he had already built a legend that would last forever. This is how Alexander the Great conquered the known world before 30 years old. Alexander was born in 356 BC in a place called Macedonia. It was not the most respected part of Greece at the time. Many Greeks saw it as rough and uncivilized, but that would soon change. His father, King Philip II, was already transforming it into a powerful kingdom. He built a strong army and used smart politics to gain control over nearby regions. Alexander grew up watching all of this. He didn't just see power, he learned how to use it. His mother, Olympias, also shaped him deeply. She filled his mind with stories of gods and heroes. She even told him that he might be the son of Zeus. Whether he believed it or not, it gave him something powerful, confidence that he was meant for greatness. When Alexander was around 13, he was sent to study under Aristotle, one of the smartest men in the ancient world. Under him, Alexander learned about science, medicine, philosophy, and politics. He read about heroes like Achilles and began to admire their courage and ambition. These lessons stayed with him. But Alexander was not just a thinker, he was also bold. By the age of 16, Alexander was already proving himself. His father left him in charge of Macedonia while he went to fight elsewhere. Instead of sitting back, Alexander took action. He led an attack against a nearby tribe and won. He even founded a city and named it after himself. It was clear that he was not just a prince, he was a leader. 2 years later, he fought alongside his father in a major battle. This was the Battle of Chaeronea. Alexander led the cavalry and played a key role in defeating a powerful alliance of Greek city-states. He even helped destroy an elite unit known as the Sacred Band of Thebes. After this, many soldiers began to respect him deeply. But things at home were not stable. Philip later married another woman, and tensions grew within the family. Arguments broke out. At one point, Alexander and his mother even left the kingdom for safety. Although they later returned, the situation remained tense. Then everything changed. Philip was assassinated. Suddenly, at just 20 years old, Alexander became king. But becoming king was not simple. There were rivals who also wanted the throne. So Alexander moved quickly. He secured the support of the army and removed anyone who could challenge him. It was harsh, but it worked. Now he had power, but he also had a problem. Many Greek city-states did not trust him. Some even thought this young king would be easy to defeat. They were wrong. When a city called Thebes rebelled, Alexander responded fast. He marched his army hundreds of miles in just 2 weeks. His speed shocked everyone. When he reached the city, he gave them a chance to surrender. They refused. So he attacked. The city was destroyed, and its people were either killed or enslaved. It was brutal, but it sent a message. After that, most of Greece fell in line. Even Athens, which had supported the rebellion, was forgiven. Alexander knew when to be harsh and when to show mercy. With Greece under control, he turned his eyes toward a much bigger goal: Persia. The Persian Empire was massive. It was one of the most powerful empires in the world. It had wealth, resources, and a huge army. Many believed it was impossible to defeat. But Alexander believed otherwise. In 334 BC, at just 22 years old, he crossed into Asia with his army. This was the beginning of his great campaign. His first major test came at the Battle of Issus. There, he faced the Persian king, Darius III. Even though the Persian army was larger, Alexander used smart tactics. He attacked directly at Darius. This caused panic. Darius fled the battlefield, leaving his army behind. Even more surprising, Darius left behind his own family. Alexander treated them with respect. This helped him gain support from the Persian people. He was not just a conqueror, he was also trying to be seen as a rightful ruler. After this victory, Alexander kept moving. He captured important cities and took control of key areas. Then he went south into Egypt. In Egypt, he was welcomed as a hero. The people saw him as a liberator, not an enemy. He was even declared a god there. He founded a new city called Alexandria, which would later become one of the greatest centers of learning in the ancient world. But the biggest battle was still ahead. In 331 BC, Alexander and Darius met again, this time at Gaugamela. It was one of the most important battles in history. Darius had a massive army. Everything seemed in his favor. But Alexander was calm. He studied the field, planned his moves, and waited for the right moment. Then he struck with a direct attack toward Darius once again. Just like before, Darius panicked and ran, and once again, his army fell apart. This victory changed everything. After Gaugamela, Alexander took control of the Persian Empire. Cities fell one after another. Wealth poured in. He was now the ruler of one of the largest empires the world had ever seen. But he didn't stop. One of his biggest challenges came from a man named Bessus, who tried to claim the Persian throne. Alexander hunted him down, and he was eventually captured and killed. Now there was no doubt. Alexander was the king of Persia. But ruling such a huge empire was not easy. The people spoke different languages. They had different cultures. Alexander understood this, so he made a bold choice. Instead of forcing everyone to become Greek, he blended cultures. He adapted Persian customs. He allowed local leaders to keep power if they remained loyal. This helped him keep control, but it also upset many of his own soldiers. They felt he was becoming too much like the people they had defeated. Tension grew. In one tragic moment, Alexander killed one of his close friends during an argument. It showed how pressure and power were starting to affect him. Still, he kept moving forward. In 326 BC, he reached India. There, he faced King Porus. This battle was different. Porus had war elephants that terrified soldiers and horses. At first, the elephants caused chaos, but Alexander adapted. His army found ways to attack them and break their lines. In the end, he won. But this victory came at a cost. His army was exhausted. They had been fighting for years. They were far from home, and they didn't want to go further. When Alexander tried to push deeper into India, his soldiers refused. They were done. For the first time, Alexander had to stop, not because he was defeated, but because his army would not follow him anymore. So he turned back. On the way home, he tried to strengthen his empire. He arranged marriages between his officers and Persian women. He wanted to unite the two cultures. But again, his soldiers were unhappy. To calm things down, he held a great feast. He gave back titles and rewards. He tried to rebuild trust. Even with all these struggles, his impact was massive. He spread Greek culture across vast lands. He built cities. He improved trade. He connected different parts of the world in ways that had never been done before. But then suddenly, everything ended. At the age of 32, Alexander died. No one knows exactly why. Some say he was poisoned. Others believe he became sick, possibly from malaria. Whatever the cause, his death was unexpected. And without him, his empire began to fall apart. His generals fought each other for power. The empire broke into pieces. Still, his legacy remained. In just over a decade, Alexander had achieved something incredible. From a young king in a small kingdom, he became the ruler of the known world. He was bold, he was intelligent, he took risks, and he moved faster than anyone expected. He didn't just win battles, he changed history, and all of it before the age of 30.